And I think one good point that you made is uh, everybody loves to hear stories, and if
Right.
you're a good storyteller, you've already made halfway through in your journey. Uh, Technology is just the plugins, the jargons that are there are just the plugins in the whole story, but it's important that you relate to the pain that the customer is going through.
Hi, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, brought to you by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Charu Mehra, and today I'm sitting down with someone who has built a career around insight, strategy, and forward thinking leadership. Joining us today is Mr. Anand Brahme, and it's a real pleasure to have him with us here. Mr. Brahme, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Charu. It is indeed a pleasure and honor to be here. I really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So, what stands out about your journey is not just the roles you've taken up, but the intent behind them, the thought leadership, the ability to adapt. It's not every day we get to sit across from someone who's seen transformation happen from the inside out. So, Mr. Brahme, before we get into the final details of your work, let's take a step back. I'd love for you to talk us through your journey in your own words, how it all began, the turns it took, and what brought you where you are today.
Yeah. So it's been a great journey for me, very rewarding. uh, Almost 27 years in the industry that I've spent. Way back in 1998, I started. Uh, I kind of maneuvered myself in three different, in the same industry, but three different domains, I would say. Started with selling softwares and then moved into networking and collaboration or unified communication, and then moving into the cybersecurity space. So, uh, one thing that I learned in the journey is moving with the pace, upskilling yourself is the key mantra to be relevant in the industry and for your own survival and growth. That's the lesson that I've learned in this last 27 years. I'm There would be ups and downs and a lot of the world, the everything is all life is all topsy turvy, but uh, maneuvering through these challenges, whether it is personal challenges or professional challenges, one has to learn the skill, and that's what I did. I had a tough time when I started my career, but then overcoming these challenges was the key. It's very easy to, for an individual to take the easy route, but staying honest, committed, and dreaming about your own goals and working towards that, executing that is something that I really understood at a very early stage,
Mhm.
early age, and that's where you know, I took these steps. My journey so far has been very rewarding for me.
So, Mr. Brahmi, you've had an incredible run leading sales across giants like Juniper, Google Cloud, and Beyond Trust. But I'm sure not every day was smooth sailing. There must have been one defining moment, high stakes, pressure on, and yet you flipped the game. I'd love to for you to take us into that chapter. What was at stake? What went through your mind?
So yeah, I mean, all these companies that I work for, uh, sales per se. I mean, throughout I've been in sales. Sales is a very. It's always said here that sales is a very thankless profile, and every day we meet, uh, there are challenges across. We meet tough people, difficult situations. There are targets and pressure on achieving those numbers. There's also a saying that we live by a quarter, meaning every quarter is important for us. And
Right.
that's where, uh, in this journey, specifically in these organizations, while they're very big brands,
Mhm.
but it takes a lot of responsibility and your own personal credibility to build that relationship in those
Absolutely.
conversations with
Absolutely.
these. with these situations or with these opportunities. Now, uh, there are situations where customers are very demanding, the organizations are very demanding, the situations are very complex. But what it helps is essentially to be a listener, good listener to uh, those use cases or those problems, the challenges that the customers are facing,
Hmm.
and then trying to be a trusted advisor. So my fundamental
Right,
belief has been that uh, once you establish that relationship, uh, you build the trust, and trust is uh, the catalyst for all your further business. So that trust relationship. So suddenly, from a vendor, you become a trusted advisor to that
right,
organization or to that individual, and
right.
people do business with people. So this all matters. The relationship certainly matters.
Absolutely. And it's so incredible, Mr. Brahme. The way you say you navigate through that with clarity and confidence says a lot about your leadership mindset. So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, Mr. Brahme, in this fast-paced and often transactional world of tech sales, where targets and quick wins dominate the scene, what's always stood out about your journey is the relationship first approach. It's rare and honestly, it's refreshing. I'd love to know, was there ever a client relationship that started off like any other, but over time evolved into something truly meaningful, something that not only impacted your career, but maybe even shaped, your perspective as a leader?
Certainly, as I mentioned, relationship is the key to success, and so I have dealt with some of the largest telecom providers,
Hmm.
some large enterprises in the tech sector as well as in the manufacturing and the banking sector.
Right.
Uh, what matters is uh, going and talking about your own technologies or solutions doesn't really help. It's very
Right.
important. It's imperative that we understand what the pain that the customer is going through.
Hmm.
Is there a compliance related challenge? Is there a operational related challenge? Is there a people attrition related issue? So all of these needs to be understood pretty well before we even position or derive a matrix to kind of sell our solution. While if
Right.
you have that selling approach, uh, there's very little chance that the customers would entertain you or engage in that conversation. But if you advise, if you become take a consultative approach,
Right.
maybe discuss some possible outcomes, alternatives in that. Uh, it takes a lot of courage to say that I am good at this, but I'm not good at this. You may want to consider someone else, and that wins the trust and confidence of the customer.
Right.
Especially when you are in a tricky situation, it helps, and that's where I have noticed, I've observed in my experience that that kind of conversation will then take you a long way.
Right.
Uh, my experience with many such customers, even today, when I've left those organizations, they are still in touch with me. They keep calling, uh, either for a coffee or just for some brainstorming sessions,
Right.
some advice, and that helps you take, in the long run.
Right, right. So yeah, of course, it's the personal connection that you have with the customers, so, and that is
Absolutely.
built over time with trust and transparency. The way you said that I'm not competent in a certain area, so you might want to look at someone else. So that's incredible,
Absolutely.
Mr. Brahme. And it's fascinating to hear how the relationships we build on with time not only shape the business outcomes, but also help us in our personal growth. And I'm sure our listeners are taking away some powerful lessons from that.
Mr. Brahme, in the world of tech sales, especially in areas like cybersecurity, it's easy for things to feel distant or even overwhelming to clients. But you've managed to bridge that gap beautifully, turning complex, abstract technology into relatable human stories. I'd love for you to take us behind the scenes. How do you weave storytelling into your sales approach, particularly in a field where trust is everything? how do you make something as intricate as cybersecurity feel personal and meaningful to your clients?
Interesting question. I think one good point that you made is uh, everybody loves to hear stories, and
Right.
if you're a good storyteller, you've already made halfway through in your journey. Uh, Technology is just, the plugins, the jargons that are there are just the plugins in the whole story. But it's important that you relate to the pain that the customer is going through.
Right.
Maybe share some experiences of your past or some other customers, and bring that conversation into this to make it more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it- you mentioned one pertinent point here, that it's very complex. Uh, Cybersecurity, I define it when I meet a customer, whether it's an existing one or a greenfield. I typically take a step back, give them a broader picture, which is like a desired state where they have to be, and
Mm-hmm.
then s- segment that into three buckets, in
Okay.
which it could be preventive controls, detection and response capabilities, and the hunting part,
Right.
where you actually achieve nirvana of your cybersecurity stage, is what I usually say. And then where do they stand? And then ask some pertinent questions as to, do you really know who your enemy is?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the motivations are? There are typically two
Right.
types of motivations. One is money, extortion, and the other one is espionage, what we call it as.
Right.
Uh, Modus operandi. Are you familiar with that? A
Mm-hmm.
board will ask you some more tougher questions, like, our competitor was breached in last month.
Mm-hmm.
Are we the next target for the
Right.
attackers?
Right.
So these are few. So how do you prove the efficacy of the investments or the controls or the infrastructure that we have deployed,
Right.
and with evidence, right? So the moment you talk, I haven't spoken any specific cybersecurity solution yet with the customer. So you mentioned a very relevant point here about storytelling. It's important that before we talk about our jargons and the technology solutions and all, understanding what the pain the customer is facing, probably giving him some context of the experience of a similar industry customer, and
Right.
then relating that back to what he is actually facing. So before even I jump into my proposition to the customer, I take him a step back and
Mm-hmm.
give him the larger picture, the bird's eye view of how the maturity curve of a cybersecurity journey looks like, from a
Right.
preventive controls, detection and response capabilities, and the hunting abilities. Now, when they are building the infrastructure, they are building it with a view inside out, not from
Mm-hmm.
the attacker's lens. And that is where this understanding of the whole picture of the maturity curve, where the desired state should be, is what I narrate to them. Then comes the most interesting part of asking them questions about, do you really know who your enemy is, who the attacker is? Would you be the next potential target? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the motivation behind that, the modus operandi, the tools, tactics, and procedures that they follow. The board is giving you a lot of budgets for investments. They might have
Right.
questions. Can you prove the efficacy of the controls that you have deployed? We hear about
Right.
a news from our competitor that they were breached. There was an incident. Would we be the next target in that case? Will we be in the news tomorrow? And can you prove that? Can you show the evidence around that? So when these kind of questions come in, it is uh, the customer really gets uh, scary about the situation, and then gets more engaged. Then he's asking, can you tell me more about it? So this is where the conversation starts, when I've not even plugged in my solution or technology at all. Now I come and tell the customer, okay, these are the things that you should look at. These are the uh,
Right.
technologies. These are the solutions. Where am I good at? Where am I not good at? You can consider the other products and solutions, so that the holistic picture looks very promising, and then the
Right.
customer starts building that trust, and will look up to you for any kind of solution that is required.
Right, right. Wow, wow. It's so fascinating to hear how you managed to make something as technical and complex as cybersecurity feel so approachable. And it really underscores how much trust and human connection matter in this world. As we look into the future, Mr. Brahme, what are your goals and aspirations that you have set for yourself, and the industry that you're in? How do you see your role evolving in the next few years? If you can just talk us.
All right. There's a book called, Leader Without a Title, and it's a very interesting book. So it's important that you become a coach to this industry. Uh, my my very humble aspiration, I would say, is creating awareness, educating people, helping customers defend from the bad guys, from the attackers,
Right.
including even individuals. There are people who come to me for personal advice and how should I do this, how should I do that. So, being that advisor or being that coach, mentor to the industry, to these organizations, to individuals, is more important
Right.
for me than aspiring for becoming uh, a country manager or some other aspirational roles. That's number one. Having said that, I'm also building a project where it is primarily going to uh, disrupt the way privileges for a specific user or credentials are managed, are used, and can prevent exploitation of those things. So this is one contribution from a technical aspect that I am actually
Wow.
working on a project with some teammates, and that should come out very soon. So that's the little contribution that I want to have, to this industry.
Wow, wow. And it's truly inspiring to hear how you're positioning yourself in the future. Your focus on innovation and staying ahead of the curve really speaks about your commitment to not just adapt to the evolving tech landscape, but to drive it forward. And I really wish you luck for the success of the project that you're working on right now. So, Mr. Brahme, with sustainability and corporate responsibility being such significant themes today, how do you see ESG impacting the tech industry? And what roles do you envision yourself playing in integrating ESG principles into your business strategies?
Let me classify ESG, the impact of ESG, and why it matters to the tech industry. Uh, so there are three parts: environment, social, and governance. These days, all the tech companies, from an environment standpoint, are pushed to reduce the carbon footprint
Mhm.
uh, through building energy efficient data centers,
Right,
uh, transparency in the supply chain, and green product designs. So
right,
that is one impact environment is going to ESG is going to bring in for the tech industries. Uh, when it comes to social, it is about diversity, equity, and inclusion of employees, adhering to
right,
ethical labor policies. So that's another impact. Data privacy. All these are crucial and central to the social aspect of it.
right,
Uh, having strong governance with artificial intelligence coming into play, it's a reality today with uh, great the ideal cybersecurity policies, I would say. Bringing in those governance controls is equally important
right,
from having any reputational damage or any other things. So
right.
that's important. The impact of ESG on the tech industry. Why it matters? Uh, Primarily for uh, reputation and trust.
Mm-hmm.
In this data-driven industry or data-driven age today, trust is the new currency. So if you have that ESG-oriented approach, in that
Right,
case, the trust matters, and that's where the reputation of the organizations is intact from the ESG impact itself. The second is talent acquisition and retention.
right,
Considering the youth, today's youth, which is called as Gen Z or the millennials, uh, they look forward for ethical employer and a meaningful workplace environment. So
right,
that that relates back to the diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that's
Agreed.
the talent acquisition and retention. And the third part is risk mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
Having ESG oriented governances will ensure that there is no regulatory fines,
Right.
reputational damage, or any
Right.
lawsuits that can be filed. So that is why ESG matters to the tech industry.
Right,
That's
absolutely. And
my
I
opinion.
think, yeah, and I also believe that the companies who have integrated ESG into their business strategies have an edge over the others. So that's also a plus. And your
Absolutely.
perspective, it shows that ESG is not just a buzzword for you, but something you're actively integrating and plan to integrate into your business
Yes,
strategy. So that's
it's a reality
wonderful.
today. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Mr. Brahme, you've recently joined Directors Institute, and from a seasoned professional like yourself, it's always interesting to hear about what drives such decisions. Can you share with us your experience so far?
I mean, when I heard this concept first, I attended one session with Zishan and Havel.
Mhm.
Uh, I was amazed. I mean, uh, why why did anybody else, or why didn't I get to know about this a little early? Was my first question to myself. So
Wow.
this is a great platform uh, for aspiring leaders,
Right.
uh, getting more insights and knowledge, not just about the ESG part, on the ESG aspects, but on the leadership skills, on the company policies, and
Right.
many other aspects that are touched upon into this whole sessions and the courses that are
Right.
crafted
Right.
by Zishan and Havel. It's a great platform, and I would encourage the budding leaders and the directors, independent directors, to really look forward and subscribe to these sessions. They are
Wow.
really, really very helpful and insightful.
Wow, thank you for such a wonderful feedback. And you have so much experience, and you're still looking to continue to enhance your skills. So that's really wonderful, Mr. Brahme, and wish you all the best for the future. And I hope this curriculum helps you in achieving the goals that you've set for yourself in the future. And thank you for that wonderful feedback.
Thank you,
So,
Charu. Thank you so much.
So that was a truly insightful conversation, Mr. Brahme. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your journey, and your thoughts with us today. It is clear that leadership, innovation, and continuous learning are the heart of everything that you do. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Hope today's episode has sparked some new ideas and perspectives that you can take into your own professional journey. Remember, no matter where we are in our careers, it's there's always something new to learn and explore. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Brahme. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.